Hello everybody, this is Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. I'm going to do a video tonight talking about the Hobbs home that I lived in before I moved to Midland. I've done one, but it's been a long time and I got a lot of new people. And you know, I think this is real important for investigation and for law enforcement. It might hold the key to explaining a lot of things. What we're looking here is at a picture of the living room of my home in Hobbs, New Mexico. That's where I lived before I moved here to Midland, and I'm going to tell a story about that. But you can see what it's wrote there. It says there was a small crack between where this beam attached to the ceiling, and my youngest daughter noticed that a light was coming from it in January 2002. We had just painted this room the week before, and I was sure the attic light wasn't on then, but I hadn't been up there. Somebody had been in the attic of my Hobbs home, okay? And so I just want to show you that, and you know, I can zoom in there. Basically, there's a little bitty crack right there, and when you're down below, and looking up at night, you could see that there was a light on in the attic. That's what my daughter had noticed, and I hadn't been up in the attic, okay? And so it's going to make more sense here in a minute when I read this to you. I've got it in paragraphs, but I broke it out in comments so to make it easier with pictures like I normally do, so you can follow along. So I'm gonna just jump right in. It's not going to be too long, and I think it's going to explain a lot here, okay? After I'd been ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going off in the attic, lies were being spread saying that I was crazy. I heard some people say he thought people were breaking in the attic of his Hobbs home too, but that wasn't true. That thought didn't enter my mind until many years later, but now I'm sure of it. I believe my home in Hobbs, New Mexico was rigged like this one in Midland and the many other homes across the country. I just didn't realize it at the time. Here's the story, okay? And keep in mind, now I've documented, you know, on the night I'm shot, I reported, you know, burglar alarms going in my attic. I had reported something in my attic a year before that, and now I've documented 50 other homeowners across the nation, a dozen addresses in Midland, another dozen in Odessa. This is going on. That's a tip of the iceberg. It's going on all over the place. But this video is about my Hobbs home. I'm thinking that home was rigged before I moved here, okay? With a picture I put in here, and you can read what I say at the top. I was shot by surprise with burglar alarms going off in my attic, and now homeowners all over are documenting this, reporting people in the attic. And this was from my security camera minutes after I crawled out. That I had been shot, and I was crawling out on my hands and knees. I didn't know if I'd live or die at that time, okay? I mean, it was a very dire situation, very scary situation. Timestamp 10/42, January 28, 2012. God saved my life. It was miraculous. The reason I crawled out is because they had stolen my cell phone and disconnected my home phone line. They'd cut my communications, so, you know, planning for me to bleed out and die, and the shot threaded the needle. God saved my life. I cried out. And then the nurse's notes at the emergency room, and this was time stamped at 11:27, right after I was shot, and I was telling the police their sirens going off, the alarms kept going off. That's what I'm saying. These were burglar alarms in my attic going off, and that proved that I was shot during a home invasion. More than that, it said in closet there's a voice recorder recording what happened. So I had a voice recorder recording the burglar alarms going off, proving that I was shot during a home invasion. Because remember, these corrupt police were saying that I accidentally shot myself, and that was a lie. You know, I was shot during a home invasion. I've been reporting these crimes, you know, for over a year, and now it looks like there was police under my home. Somebody under my home shot me. That's a whole nother story. Okay, so I'm just moving on here in this next little section. 6 years before I transferred to Midland in 2002, or I transferred here in 2008, but in 2002, my youngest daughter, Jordan, noticed the light was on in the attic, and I knew that it wasn't on the week before, as I hadn't been up there. But I suspected my ex-wife, Cindy Barton, had been. We were separated and going through a divorce at the time. A few months after this, I came home from work and I found a voicemail on my answering machine. It was a woman that was asking for Cindy, and at the end of this call, you could hear the phone pick up, and Cindy said, "Hello." This timestamp call told me that Cindy was inside my home while I was at work. This is why I believed it was Cindy that had gotten into the attic and had left that light on. But after I was shot and started finding out that these same crimes were going on at many other homes, I started to wonder if it was Cindy. So I asked her on Facebook one night in 2018. I told her, I said, I know you were in my home, but did you get into the attic? And she rudely said, I didn't get in the friggin' attic. Cindy died not long after that. And if Cindy didn't get in the friggin' attic, then that means somebody else did. That home and the one next to it was built by my first in-laws, Ann and Don Calloway. Tammy Calloway's husband was the realtor that found it for me and Shauna when we moved from Orla, Texas to Hobbs, New Mexico in '92. Shauna was the girl's mom. Okay. My second ex-wife. Okay, so here's a picture of me and Cindy when we got married in Lake Tahoe, and I'm gonna show you. This is on Facebook 2018 before she died. Okay, and Cindy's like, you're a liar. I never came to your house after the day I left. Only one in the attic was you. I'm embarrassed that I'm acknowledging you. Okay, and so I'm like, I came home from work and I found a message on my voice recorder where a person called and asked for you. You could hear them say, is Cindy there? You picked up the phone and said hello and hang up the recorder. This was time so telling me that the police were called. My family heard the call. The police heard the call. Friends from work heard the call. Everybody knew Cindy was in my home. Anyway, Cindy's like, whatever, that's bullshit, you know. And I'm like, and so I was going, so did you get up in the attic or not? It's proven you were in my home. Okay, I have absolute proof of that, you know. And then Cindy's like, I don't know anybody that wants to kill you, which didn't make any sense. That doesn't matter. And then she said the key thing here. I never got in the freaking attic. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so if Cindy didn't get in the freaking attic, somebody else got in the freaking attic, and that means that home was rigged. Okay, and there's, like I said, there's homes rigged all over the country, including this one. You know, it's not just the home in Midland. It's not Buddy thinking people in the attic, and it's the only person in the whole nation thinking people in the attic. It's going on all over the place. You know, I got all kinds of evidence proving this. I saw a person in my attic, a young Hispanic guy. I was shot with burglar alarms going in my attic. You know, I mean, I had to pay to get secret police identified after I was shot with, you know, with somebody in my attic. Okay, so here we go. Here's where it gets real interesting. My mom died the month before I was ambushed and shot, with still unanswered questions. And Don Calloway, my first father-in-law, died a few weeks before I was ambushed and shot. Okay, so that left my dad and Ann Calloway single. After I survived the murder attempt, my dad marries Ann Calloway, my first mother-in-law, okay, and the builder of my Hobbs home. Ann and Don had built that home and the one to the south of it, which they used to live in. Okay, I now suspect they put in a tunnel and rigged that home. That explains why they haven't supported me after I was shot and left for dead in this home. Okay. I'm going to show you the obituaries because mom dies here. That's my mom. And she dies, and that's a whole nother story, on December 7th, 2011. Okay. And I got a video on that with still unanswered questions. You know, I wondered if my mom knew what was going on in Midland and she was going to say something. And you know, and that's what led to my mom's death, you know. And, you know, even my sister-in-law told me one time, she says, but she's going to die anyway. You know, and so that's a real suspicious comment, and I think that Mitzi knows something. Okay, and then Don Calloway, my first father-in-law and the builder of my Hobbs home, he dies just a couple weeks before the murder attempt on my life. Okay, so it's like boom, boom, boom. You know, I mean, all this has taken place, and actually, my son was here when Don died, and he had to go back to Amarillo. Okay, and so. Moving on here, I want to show you the next comment here. It's Ann Calloway, that's my first mother-in-law, wrote me and said, my name is Calloway and VJ Calloway will not appreciate these accusations that you're throwing around. I advise you, big boy, you better be making some back statements. PDQ. See you, by the way. I didn't want you at my wedding. That is the main reason you were not invited. It was one of the happiest occasions of my life, and I didn't want some malicious, insane person around. Okay, then that's, you know, isn't that pretty nasty and crude? And I'm the victim of a home invasion, capital attempted murder, proven beyond shadow of a doubt. Okay, these are pictures I got off the internet. This is my dad, Mary, and Calloway, my first mother-in-law, and there's my brother there that hardly talks to me either. And I copy and pasted this was from Ann Calloway's, you know, what I just read to you, what she wrote me, that I didn't want some malicious, insane person around. So obviously Ann Calloway knows something, right? I suspected that, and then my dad quit talking to me too. Last 3 years of his life, I suspected he knew too that Hobbs home was rigged. Okay, so I suspect a tunnel was put in going from the two homes that were built by my first in-laws and in Don Calloway. So these are just, Google Maps. Go up here, and I'm showing you. This is the home that I lived in, 7611 Rolling Meadows here. And Sean and I moved back here, and then of course, she wanted a divorce and left, and then I ended up marrying Cindy. I was married to Cindy for 7 years, whatever. But this house right here to the south of it was where Ann and Don Calloway used to live before I moved back from Orla. Okay, so they built both these houses, and I'm suspecting maybe there was a tunnel that went in between them, and then it was Tammy, which is the mother of my son, my first ex-wife. It was their daughter. Her husband found us that home. He was a realtor in Hobbs, and here, let's set you up with this great deal on this home here in Hobbs, and that's how I got into the Hobbs home in the first place, was because of Tammy Calloway. Okay, and so all these years later, I'm looking back, going, wow, I bet you that home was rigged all that time. That's why the light was on in the attic. That's why Jordan noticed the light on in the attic. And also, Violet Colvin used to live in this house, and I can't remember. She was married to a guy, and he later died too. And and so I don't know if they know anything, but I just want to show you that. Okay, moving on. My dad and I, had a conversation after I got out of the hospital about the burglar that was trapped in the bathroom when I was shot, and Dad got upset and said, yeah, but you had the doors tie-wired shut. You had the safety off on your shotgun. And I said right back, I was under home invasion. It was clear that he was trying to justify the home invasion and murder attempt on my life. See, I believe that because, I had noticed that somebody had been inside my home. I'd been reporting these repeated burglaries, felonies to my home to the police over a year. I've been telling my family, friends, coworkers, everybody that somebody's breaking into my home. And then I come home from work, notice somebody was in my house. I tie-wired my spare door shut, trying to figure out which room that, they were coming in from. Or, the ex-wife had already told me there was a trap door here. I just didn't know where it was at. And so that was what I did and when I tie-wired the doors to this guest bathroom, I unknowingly trapped a burglar in this room. I figured that out after I survived the murder attempt, got out of the hospital, come back, and the hinges were torn off the door here, and there was pry marks on the top of the inside door jamb right here. And I had painted the whole thing. They wasn't there before. So I was positive I had trapped a burglar in this room before I was ambushed and shot. Okay, and keep in mind, I'm on the other side of the door with a gun and every right to protect my life and property. This criminal, this burglar, this, I don't know what you call him, criminal burglar, home invader, had been terrorizing me for over a year at this time, right? And I have people calling me crazy, and they get trapped in this room, and I'm on the other side of the door with a gun with every right to protect my life and property. And keep in mind what my dad's saying, yeah, but you tie-wired the door shut. You had the safety off on your shotgun. He was trying to justify these killers that shot me from the killers under my home that shot me by surprise. That's what he's trying to do. And I seen that same thing. The police tried to do the same thing. There's actually several remarks. The ex-wife here, she said, you don't know how many lives you ruin with your idiocy. And what I took that to mean is my idiocy was I trapped a burglar in this bathroom, unknowingly trapped it, because I was under a home invasion, And then there's another, one of the secret police, April Chandler, she writes on a police report just an hour after I'm shot, Mr. Webb, due to his paranoia, caused himself to suffer a gunshot wound. She started to write on the report, Mr. Webb shot himself, and then she scribbles it out. She scribbles out shot and then writes over it, caused himself, okay? So she was blaming me. It was my fault for staying home and minding my own business, and these killers breaking in my home and shooting me. That's what she was saying, They were trying to justify trying to murder me in my home because I trapped this burglar in that bathroom, okay? And then the nurse's notes there where I showed you a minute ago, that was at the ER there. It says, Pacing up money, breaking home. I have tie wired my cabinets shut. Okay, so it was listed there that I had tie wired the doors shut to keep them out. That was had told the police that. I told that at the ER. Okay. The next comment here. The ex-wife here in Midland told me one time, "You were chosen to buy this home." And that makes a lot of sense considering how the home in Hobbs was rigged like this one. Okay, that would mean that crimes have been committed against me for almost 30 years because I bought that Hobbs home in 92. Okay, and I'm suspecting that most of my family knew this, which explains why they haven't supported me. So that's my guess. And I'm trying to think, I don't think my family's, set me up to murder me and collect the insurance money. I pray that that's not the case. But, maybe this home was making money for them or something. They were using, me to make money for themselves or something. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I just know that here all the evidence and the truth is on my side and my family hasn't supported me. So that's made me suspect that they knew that Hobbs home was rigged. Okay. But anyway, the ex-wife here had said, "You were chosen to buy this home." And that I've also said this: if I was chosen to buy this home, then I suspect that the guy that lived here before me was chosen to die. And that's called premeditated capital murder. That's a death penalty case. And I've long suspected that they murdered Mike Lawhon just like me. I mean, they ambushed and shot me by surprise. The person that shot me was in no danger. I didn't even know they were there. Okay, there was a burglar trapped in the bathroom, but I didn't even know that person was there, right? So they could have arrested that person and nobody had got shot, but they chose to murder me by surprise. That's like Charles Manson, I mean, it's Charles Manson on steroids because Charles Manson didn't have a secret police gang to help them cover up home invasions and murders, Anyway, this is the MRT, this is when I got married. That's the duck pond in the back, because of the protective order, her name doesn't come out of my mouth, and see, I blocked off her face or whatever, so. But I couldn't stop anybody from going looking that up because the Midland Reporter Telegram has it, I wondered if the girl's mom, Shauna Newton, knew this, and I highly suspect that Cindy did too, okay? And maybe that's why she died at such a young age. Remember, Cindy died right after she told me I didn't get in the friggin' attic. Shauna being the girl's mom, I woke up one day, got a Dear John letter, said I don't love you anymore, and that was in 93, I think. And I'm looking back and I'm going, I wonder if Shauna knew that home was rigged, and I'm thinking Cindy knew. I now suspect that several other long-term girlfriends may have known this too. A girl named Shelly from Eastland lived with me, and I'm looking back and I'm thinking, I bet you Shelly knew that too. That explains so much. Laura Daly. I wonder if Laura knew that. That'd be interesting. And we almost got married. We were engaged to get married. And then she called it off at the last minute. I wonder if it's because she knew that home was rigged, and somebody, law enforcement could talk to them people. This was a message I got from Shauna Boggs, which is Newton. That was the girl's mom after I survived the murder attempt. Extremely rude, and I didn't talk to her for years. This is a rare message and real hateful. The reason I put it here, I just want to show you, one of the first signs of somebody that knows about the crimes against me is when they call me crazy, because obviously I'm not crazy. That's the lies being used to cover up the crimes against me. Remember, the truth, the evidence, the facts, and God's on my side. All they got is lies, right? Back in 2012, I didn't have, all this evidence. All I had was this crazy story. Burglar alarms going to the attic, somebody under my home shooting me, Now there's absolute proof showing I wasn't shot with my gun, There's 50 other homeowners reporting people in the attic, multiple people documented saying there's tunnels, underground homes are here. One of them was running for sheriff, right? Well, another person told me they were put in for George H.W. Bush, named the company she worked for, how much, $7.35 million. I know how many bedrooms, how deep they are, how many they are. I got all kinds of details, all kinds of people documented. You can see it on Google Maps. But so when anybody calls me crazy, then that throws up red flags saying they know something, and Shauna was one of them people. So I think the girl's mom knows something about the crimes being committed against me. And here's her message to me. You need to take down your fucking bullshit about my daughter and the grandson off your Facebook. You have not been involved in their lives. You do not realize the pain you've caused them putting your children through by your paranoid delusions and posting them for the world to see. They're nothing but lies. It's not true, right? I'm the crippled, I'm the crippled survivor of a home invasion and capital murder attempt. That's what's true. That's what's proven by evidence. And now you can apologize to me, Shauna. But Shauna knew all along. She's really not stupid, and neither is Ann Calloway. Ann Calloway knows too. Knows I'm telling the truth. My family knows I'm telling the truth. This isn't the only home in Hobbs that I've suspected was rigged, as another woman, Heather O'Donnell, told me that people were getting into the attic of her home, and I saw that home was built by the Callaways too, the same Callaways. Interestingly, she also said that her boyfriend, Donnie Cobb, told her that him and another guy shot somebody in Midland, and I wondered if they'd shot me. And then there was a mayor over there, I think, or a wealthy person, Hobbs, named Cobb, and I wonder if he was related to them, and that's part of this cover-up. I wondered if that's who shot me. Heather O'Donnell was telling me that Donnie Cobb and his friend's the one under my home that shot me, But what I do know, she says he tried to kill me with drugs. Okay, his name is Donnie Cobb. Now, keep in mind, they called her crazy, so because everybody reports crime. That's how they cover up. That's how they cover up crimes and murders. They call them crazy. It's just ridiculous, is what it is. Okay, she believes it's a sex trafficking ring. I believe it's a sex trafficking ring. Lots of people believe it's a sex trafficking ring, right? And then here she says when Donnie was drunk, he and his friend shot a guy. And I said, in Hobbs? She said, in Midland. I was like, whoa, in Midland. I wonder if that's the guy that shot me. I thought y'all might find that interesting. I sure wish we could find some real law enforcement. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.